Imagine you're building an RPG. You need to spawn 1,000 trees or an army of 50 goblins to chase our hero, Magis. Would you write 1,000 lines of code for those trees? Professional developers use a logic multiplier called a loop, and that is what we will be discussing in this video. So let's dive into the code and make Python do the heavy lifting for us so that we can focus on the fun stuff. Now before we dive into the code, we have to understand what a loop is. Well, a loop is a code structure that allows us to tell the computer to do a task or multiple tasks, either a specific number of times or until a certain condition is met. It's how we turn a couple of lines of code into an entire game world. And a good rule of thumb to use loops is if you find yourself writing the same line of code 3 or more times, use a loop. And loops are also really heavily used for iterating or cycling through collections, like our lists or inventory or dictionaries or stats. And one good thing that they're really good at is simply generating a large set of data. And loops are actually really important to have in your game in more ways than you think. First off, you can use loops to generate your entire game world by using tile maps, or if you need to generate an entire list of enemies to face. But that's not even the most important part. Loops, most importantly, keep your game running. And there are actually two kinds of loops that we will be going over today. So go ahead and open up your idle program and let's dive into the code. Alright, so here we are in our idle shell, and if you don't already have it open, go ahead and open it now. And first off, what we're going to do is we're going to assign our inventory list and give it a few items, just like we did in our list video. Now, for the basic for loop, what we're going to do, we're going to iterate through these items in our inventory, and it's going to print out each individual item per line. Okay, so to show you, we simply type out the word for, and then the letter I, and to be honest, this right here is just a placeholder for the item that it is currently on whenever it is going through the inventory list. So let's finish this out and I'll explain a little bit more. So type out for I in inventory, because we're going to be looking inside the inventory, and give it a colon at the end there, and then hit the enter button. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to simply print out each item in our inventory to see what they are. So go ahead and hit enter on that twice, and you can see that it printed out each of our items on separate lines. And like I said, the letter I is just a placeholder. It can literally be anything you want. It is just a placeholder. You can name it chicken butt if you want it. So it'd be like for chicken butt in inventory, print chicken butt, just for example. So next, we're going to create our player stats, and then we're going to loop through this same way we did with our list. So for I in player stats, give it a colon at the end, finish that off, and then go down to the next line, make sure it's indented, and then we just write out the same line that we did up here, and we're just going to type in print I. But the difference here is that it's not going to print out everything you see in our player stats dictionary. It's only going to print out the key values. So hit enter on that and you'll see that we just see those three. Now let's say that we didn't have a list or a dictionary or other collection of items to iterate through, and we just wanted to generate a large set of data. Okay, so for that we could just simply assign, let's just say we're going to assign a random list, call it random underscore list, and have it equal to an empty dictionary, or an empty list, sorry. Go down to the next line, and what we can do, type out for I in, and here's where it is, the range. Obviously, you can see it changed colors there, so it's a keyword that is built into the language. And then give it a pair of parentheses, and then go back in the inside of the range parentheses, and we can add in whatever number we want. I'm going to add in 10, just to keep it short here. Go back out of the parentheses, give it a colon, finish that off, go down to the next line. And if you remember back in our list video, how we added things to a list, what we're going to do, we're just going to do that. And we're going to, so go random underscore list dot append, and we're just going to append or add I to the list, and then go ahead and hit enter on that twice, and then you'll go ahead and we're going to print out our random underscore list, and then you'll see that it added 0 through 9, and there it goes. Because whenever you use the range function, just like whenever you're iterating through a list, it always starts at the 0th index. So 0 steps from the start is where it always starts. So that's why we get 0 through 9 instead of 1 through 10 or 0 through 10. Alright, next up I'm going to show you a while loop. So what we're going to do here first, we're going to type out a variable name called lives, and we're going to give us 5 lives. We're going to give ourselves 5 lives here. Hit enter, go down to the next line here, and then we're going to type out our while loop. And these can get a little tricky, because if you don't do it right, then you could potentially cause your computer to overheat, and obviously that's a bad thing. So let's go ahead and type out the word while. And as you can see, it changed color, so it's a built-in keyword there. And we're going to say while lives is greater than 0, then give it a colon there. We're going to go ahead and print out fight for your life. Alright, and now what this is going to do is that it's going to print fight for your life until our lives variable is no longer greater than 0. So let's go ahead and hit enter on that twice. Oh crap. Well, we just entered an infinite loop. As you can see, it's not going to stop printing fight for your life. And these infinite loops you have to watch out for, because this is what I'm saying, it could really overheat your computer, which is obviously a bad thing. But fortunately, there is a way we can stop this by simply holding down the control button and the C button, which, as you can see, it triggers a keyboard interrupt, which completely stops the program. So don't worry if you accidentally cause an infinite loop, you can interrupt it with Control C. Now, if we were to do that again and we didn't want to accidentally cause an infinite loop, then we would just write it out like this. So go ahead and type it out again like we did again. So while lives is greater than 0, colon, we're going to print fight for your life. Oops, for, not foe. It's not fight for your life. Fight for your life. Alright. Enter once, and then we're going to go down to the next line, and here is where we can manipulate this while loop so that we don't end up in an infinite loop. So if you haven't already figured this out already, we're going to decrease the amount of lives that we have by 1 every time that this loop goes through. So what happens is it goes through, it's going to check and see if lives is greater than 0, and then it's going to print out fight for your life, and then it goes back up and it checks to see if lives is greater than 0 still, and then it keeps doing it over and over and over and over again. That's where the infinite loops comes in, because this lives variable is not getting changed. It's always staying at 5. So this condition while lives is greater than 0 will always be true, therefore it will never stop. So that's why we have to decrease the lives variable within the while loop so that this infinite loop doesn't occur. So go ahead and hit enter twice on this, and you can see that it printed out fight for your life 5 times. Alright, so this next keyword I want to show you is kind of like the emergency exit. So first what we're going to do, we're going to assign another list, and we're going to call this one enemy animation. Enemy animations, and then have it equal to these square brackets here. And then we're going to go inside, we're just going to add in some generic list, or some generic string names here for these animations, because it's just a basic demonstration. So animation 1, with a comma, we'll add in another one here, animation 2, and then finally the third one, animation 3. Okay, after on that, we'll go down to the next line and go ahead and type out our for loops. So we're going to say for animation. Like I said, this word or character after the keyword for is just a placeholder, so it could be anything. But this time we're going to call it animation because we're dealing with animations. And it's always good to have it like that because it's easier to read, the logic is easier to follow, and it kind of matches what you're going for here, because we're looking inside of the animations. So we're like, okay, so for each animation we're going to do some code with that animation. Okay, so for animation in enemy underscore animations, give it a colon, go down to the next line, and for this first off, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little conditional here. We're going to say if animation, we're going to do double equals, so we're checking to see if it is exactly equal to, and we're going to check to see if it is exactly equal to animation 2. And don't forget exactly how you spelled it out in the actual list here, because any misspelling, capitalization, stuff like that, it will throw an error because it's not exactly right. So we're saying if animation equals animation 2, give it a colon, go down here, and if it does equal animation 2, we're going to go ahead and use this break keyword. And what this is going to do is just going to break out of this for loop, and then we'll no longer see any more iterations. So let's go down to the next line here, and as you can see, it went back 4 spaces. So now we can add more stuff within the for loop, but and avoid putting stuff further into the if block right here. But we're still in the for loop. So what we're going to do here, if it doesn't equal animation 2, we're going to simply print the animation. Alright, then go ahead and hit enter on this twice, and it should only print out animation 1. Hit enter and enter, and there it goes, animation 1. And that is the break keyword for you. Now finally, this continue keyword, like I said, it's kind of like the dodge mechanic, kind of skipping over something. Okay, so first let's go ahead and set up our new list here. We're going to set up a list called Goblin Army, and I'm going to add in a few actions in here. So Goblin's going to have the action of fighting, and then also the action of stunned. Oops. Nope. There we go. And then also the action of idle. Okay, enter, go to the next line, and then let's write out our for loop here. So we're going to say for goblin underscore status. Like I said, it's just a placeholder. We're going to say in goblin army, for goblin status in goblin army. Give a colon because we're done with that part of it. Go down to the next line, and just like we did in our break keyword up here, we're going to kind of set it up the same way. So we're going to say if goblin underscore status equals, and we're going to check this one for stunned. Give it a colon to finish off that top part of the conditional, and then go down to the next line, and we're going to say continue. This is where the continue keyword is going to be. And then we'll go down to the next line and simply type out print. And here we're going to put two items in here to print out together. So we're going to type out goblin is, and then give it a comma there. We'll add in our second item. And if you remember back in our first video, whenever you put multiple items within the print function and you separate them by a comma, it'll automatically give it a space in between each one. And then we'll go ahead and say goblin is, and then we'll type out goblin status. Now what this is going to do is going to go into the goblin army. It's going to look at the goblin status. So for example, it's going to go, alright, we're going into the goblin army to see our first goblin status, which is fighting. And we're going to say, okay, if the goblin status equals stunned, then we're going to skip over that one and we're just going to go to the next item. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit enter on this twice, and it should skip over the stunned item within the list. Enter, enter, and as you can see, we printed out goblin is fighting and goblin is idle, totally skipping over the stunned item within the list. And that is pretty much loops for you. And now that you know what loops are and how to use them, here's a few exercises for you to choose and try out yourself. First off, we have level 1, the training ground. The exercise is to write a for loop that makes Magis cast his fire spell 5 times. Now, level 2, the loot filter. Use a loop and the continue keyword to skip slime in this inventory. Or level 3, survival mode. Write a while loop that drains Magis' health from 10 to 0 and then breaks. Choose your difficulty and then post your code down in the comments below. Now, recapping this video, we learned that loops are a code structure that allows you to iterate over collections of data like our lists or dictionaries. The loops also allow you to do a task or multiple tasks, either a specific number of times or until a certain condition is met. We also learned that loops are the beating heart of any game. No loop, no game. And we also learned that the break keyword breaks out of the current loop that you're working with, and the continue keyword skips over any code after it, restarting the loop. So if you like this tutorial, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or you just want to say, hey, leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. And get ready for the next video in this series, where we will be learning how to organize data using functions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.